All right, ready to dive deep into another fascinating personality type. Today, it's all about the ENFJ.
Oh, the ENFJs. They're those captivating folks, often called the protagonist, maybe even the teacher, always seem to light up the room.
Right. And you know what's interesting?
What's that?
They're actually super rare.
You're not kidding. We're talking like 2 to 5% of the population, but their impact, let's just say it punches way above its weight.
Absolutely. So ENFJ is an acronym, right?
Yeah.
Extroverted, intuitive, feeling, judging.
Yeah.
But what's the real world breakdown? What does this tell us about how they operate?
So basically, think of it as their blueprint. ENFJs, they get energized by social interaction, those big ideas, concepts. Feelings and values drive their decisions more than pure logic.
Yeah.
And organization, structure. Oh, they love it.
So it's like a key to understanding, well, them, their motivations, behaviors.
Precisely.
And speaking of understanding, why are ENFJs often called the teacher?
You know, they really live up to that name. Helping others grow, develop, that's their passion. They're like natural-born mentors, guides. Seeing potential in everyone, they genuinely want others to reach it.
Can totally see that.
Yeah.
They must make incredible leaders, influencers.
No doubt. But let's zoom out for a sec. Big 5 personality traits. Where do ENFJs land?
Right. Big picture.
Okay, so openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, ENFJs usually score high in all those.
So open to new stuff, responsible and organized, kind, compassionate.
And
they love social interaction, like we said.
Yes.
Sounds like a pretty good combo.
doesn't it?
What about neuroticism, though?
That's where things get a bit more, nuanced. Depends. Assertive ENFJ, the ENFJA, they're usually more confident, resilient. But turbulent ENFJs, ENFJTs, well, they might be more sensitive, maybe prone to stress.
Interesting. So even within the ENFJ type, there's a range, a spectrum of like emotional expression.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that even if people share some personality traits, everybody's an individual.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got the ENFJ basics down, what it stands for, big 5 scores, the teacher thing. But what really drives these individuals?
Yeah.
Their core values, motivations.
At their core, altruism, empathy. I mean, deep, genuine stuff. They want to make the world a better place. Believe in connection, cooperation.
So it's not just about like their own success or happiness. It's about something bigger.
You got it.
Inspiring. But how about a picture of an ENFJ in action? Key characteristics.
Well, first off, they're incredibly charismatic, warm, connecting with people from all walks of life. It comes so naturally to them. And they're fantastic communicators. Words, body language, the whole package. Building rapport, trust, that's their forte.
So they're not all talk. They actually care about others, making them feel comfortable, valued.
Oh, absolutely. Makes sense, right, with their strong extroverted feeling function.
True, true. But what about the intuitive side? How does that play out?
Introverted intuition. That's what helps them see beyond the surface. Understand others' hidden motivations, desires. They're perceptive, insightful, pick up on subtle cues that others might miss.
So it's not just reading people, it's understanding them on a deeper level.
Exactly.
And that makes them like incredible leaders.
Right. Inspiring, motivating others. Why? Because they genuinely believe in their potential. They've got that vision of the future, and they articulate it in a way that gets everyone excited, on board.
Okay, this cognitive function thing, super interesting. How they interact, how they shape the ENFJ experience.
Oh, it's a whole world in itself.
It is. But can we make it a little less abstract? How do extroverted feeling, introverted intuition, the others, how do those play out in an ENFJ's everyday life?
Sure. Picture this. ENFJ walks into a room full of people. Their dominant extroverted feeling, it's like a radar, instantly sensing the emotional vibe. Are people excited, nervous? They use that to guide their interactions, ensuring everyone's at ease, feels included.
Ooh, I like that. Emotional radar. Always scanning. What about introverted intuition then? Practical example.
Well, they might start noticing patterns in behavior, conversations, maybe predict future trends, understand those complex systems because they're connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture.
A sixth sense for the underlying dynamics, I guess. They're not just reacting to what's happening, but thinking ahead, anticipating.
Exactly.
And you mentioned extroverted sensing and introverted thinking, right? 2 other functions. Where do those fit in?
Those tend to be less developed, especially in younger ENFJs. Extroverted sensing, that helps them connect to the present. Enjoy sensory experiences. Think art, music, nature, savoring the beauty of the world around them.
Makes sense. And introverted thinking.
That's their logic center. Analyzing, developing internal systems of understanding. making decisions based on reason, consistency. It's what balances their heart-centered approach with a more objective perspective.
The voice of reason, making sure they're not getting swept away by emotion. This is fascinating. It's like we're peeking into the ENFJ mind. So dominant auxiliary functions, we talked about those. But what about the tertiary and inferior functions? How do those develop through an ENFJ's life?
Great point. These functions, they don't just magically appear fully formed. It's a process.
Right.
They develop over time, influencing different phases of life.
Walk us through it then. How do these functions show up at different stages?
Think of an ENFJ child. Extroverted feeling is king. They're caring, helpful, often trying to please everyone, make everyone happy.
Makes sense, the little teacher in the making. But then, adolescence, young adulthood.
Introverted intuition really starts to bloom. They get into abstract concepts, the meaning of life, their own purpose, deep conversations, meaningful connections. That's what they're after.
From helper to visionary.
Right. And as they mature into their 30s and beyond, extroverted sensing and introverted thinking, they step up.
So more grounded in the present, more adaptable to changes, and using logic to make decisions.
Yeah.
I like how this whole framework shows that personality development, it's a journey.
It is. It's not like you hit a certain age and boom, that's it. We're constantly evolving, integrating new parts of ourselves.
This makes me want to go deeper into this whole function development thing.
Oh, there's so much to explore there.
There is. But for now, real world implications.
Yeah.
Hobbies, interests, careers, what are those for ENFJs?
They often gravitate towards things that let them express creativity, connect with others, and have a positive impact.
Okay, examples?
Well, social events, community gatherings, volunteering for causes they believe in, reading about psychology, personal growth, understanding themselves and others, artistic stuff like music, theater, writing, visual arts that often resonates with them.
All about exploring the human experience, connecting on a deeper level.
Exactly.
And what about careers?
Careers where they can help others. Guide, inspire, facilitate growth, counseling, social work, teaching, human resources, even public relations or marketing, using their communication skills to connect, promote positive messages.
Leveraging those natural talents, making a real difference. Sounds like they can be game changers in any field.
They can. But remember, every ENFJ is unique. There are variations within the type. Experiences, choices, all that shapes their path.
Fascinating stuff. I feel like we're just scratching the surface of ENFJs.
Oh, we are. But we've covered a lot.
We have. What I want to know now is about how all this plays out in their lives. Like work environments, what kind of settings do ENFJs really thrive in?
Well, one thing's for sure, it's got to be more than just a job.
Makes sense.
Based on research, sources like Personality NFT, what really matters to them is a workplace that's people-centered, with a strong sense of purpose, a drive for positive change.
Makes total sense.
Right. Altruism, connection, making a difference, that's what fuels them. So, yeah, a soul-crushing cubicle farm, probably not their dream scenario.
Not at all.
Think about careers where empathy, leadership skills are front and center. Counseling, teaching, human resources, those are classic ENFJ paths. But it's not just about the job title, it's the whole culture. They need to feel like their work is meaningful, contributing to a shared goal that aligns with their values.
Being part of something bigger, right. Their efforts are actually making a difference.
You got it. And when ENFJs find that kind of environment, they flourish, inspiring team leaders, boosting morale, creating that sense of camaraderie, bringing out the best in others. Collaboration, shared success, that's what it's about.
It's interesting, though, because we often hear about successful ENFJs in leadership roles. But doesn't their desire for harmony make conflict tricky?
Great point. That need for harmony, it's both a strength and a challenge. They're amazing at building consensus, creating positive environments, but they can be conflict averse. Avoiding tough conversations, smoothing things over too quickly, sometimes resentment can build up under the surface.
So finding that balance, maintaining a positive vibe, while addressing issues head-on when necessary.
Exactly. And as they mature, become more self-aware, the better they navigate those complexities, setting boundaries, advocating for themselves, healthy conflict resolution without sacrificing their values.
It sounds like self-awareness is a key ingredient for them to thrive, not just in careers, but in life in general.
Absolutely. Understanding their strengths, their potential blind spots, their unique needs, that's crucial for fulfillment, for making choices that align with their authentic selves.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. ENFJs in personal relationships. They're warm, outgoing, deeply invested in connections. But how do those ENFJ traits actually show up? in a romantic partnership, close friendship.
They bring that same passion, intensity. They crave those deep, meaningful connections, and they're willing to nurture those bonds.
Yeah, their empathy must make them incredible partners, friends, always there to listen, offer support, celebrate your wins.
Oh, absolutely. They're the friend who remembers your birthday, checks in when you're down, genuinely wants to see you succeed. But it's more than that. They have this amazing ability to make you feel truly seen, understood.
Like you can be yourself completely without judgment. That's precious.
It is. They create those safe spaces where vulnerability, emotional expression, it's all welcome. But even with all that, they're not without their challenges in relationships.
Challenges. Tell me more. What are some potential pitfalls?
Well, their idealism, it can lead to unrealistic expectations of partners, friends. They might have this vision of the perfect relationship, and when reality falls short, well, it can sting.
So it's not that they're demanding or controlling, it's more that they have these high hopes and they pour their heart into trying to reach them.
Exactly. And that strong empathy, it can be a double-edged sword, absorbing loved ones' emotions to the point of overwhelm, feeling drained, depleted.
So they need to be mindful of their own emotional boundaries.
Yes. Being there for loved ones, but also protecting their own sensitive hearts, setting healthy boundaries, prioritizing self-care, that's crucial.
A lot to juggle. But I bet the rewards of having an ENFJ in your life are worth it.
Oh, totally. They bring warmth, enthusiasm, depth. They make you believe in connection, inspire you to be your best self.
Okay, one more thing before we move on. ENFJs are judging types, structure, planning, right? But how does that work in personal life? Spontaneity, going with the flow, that's important too.
That's a good one. They do like a plan, a sense of order, planning trips, organizing events, routines that can bring stability.
But I can see that clashing with a partner who's spontaneous or friends who are all about last-minute adventures.
Oh, for sure. It's about balance. ENFJs need to learn to be flexible, allow for some unplanned moments without feeling like the world's ending.
And loved ones need to understand that need for structure. It's not about control. It's about feeling grounded, secure.
Exactly. Respect each other's needs. Find a rhythm that works for everyone.
Communication is key, like in any relationship.
Couldn't agree more. Open, honest communication, it's the foundation. Especially for ENFJs, they're so tuned into those emotional needs.
We've learned so much. I'm starting to get a real sense of what being an ENFJ is all about, how those traits play out.
Me too.
And we're just getting started, ready to dive into strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely. Let's do it. All right, strengths and weaknesses. No personality type is perfect.
Right. Yeah. What are some of those challenges ENFJs might run into?
Well, that idealism that we talked about, it can be a double-edged sword. Yeah. They see the potential in everyone, everything, but the real world, it doesn't always play along.
Yeah, sometimes things or people just don't live up to those, like, rose-tinted expectations.
Exactly. They might pour their heart and soul into something, a project, a relationship, and when it falls short of their ideal, disappointment can hit hard. Because they invest so much, their setbacks can feel really personal.
It's not that their idealism is bad. It's more about, like, tempering it with a bit of realism.
Right. Learning to be flexible, accepting imperfections. Sometimes good enough is actually pretty great.
Good enough is underrated.
It is.
Okay, another potential snag for ENFJs, that people-pleasing tendency, always putting others first.
Oh, yeah. Harmony, making everyone happy. Sometimes their own needs get lost in the shuffle.
It's a classic trap.
It is. And because they're so good at reading people, they might even anticipate others' needs before their own are even met.
That's going to be tough.
It can be. So setting boundaries is crucial. Realizing that saying no sometimes isn't selfish, it's self-preservation.
Boundaries. So important.
Absolutely.
Okay, this one's interesting. ENFJs, they're charismatic, inspiring, but I've heard they can sometimes be perceived as a little condescending. How does that happen?
It's a fine line. They love to share knowledge, insights, but sometimes their enthusiasm kind of overshadows the other person's perspective.
So it's not intentional. It's more like getting carried away with their own excitement.
Right. Unintentionally talking down, steamrolling opinions. It's a good reminder that even the best communicators, they need to be mindful, their delivery, making space for other viewpoints.
Listening as much as you talk.
Yeah.
And valuing different perspectives. Okay, another thing that comes to mind, ENFJs, they can be pretty intense. That energy, passion, it can be a lot for some people.
True. It can be infectious, inspiring, but also overwhelming, maybe even a bit intimidating for some.
So do they need to, like, tone it down?
Not necessarily. It's more about being aware of the audience, adjusting their energy level, recognizing that not everyone thrives on that same level of intensity, meeting people where they are.
That makes sense. And we can't forget that ENFJ's superpower, empathy. It's at the heart of their strengths, but it also leaves them vulnerable.
It's a real double-edged sword. That ability to feel deeply, that's what makes them amazing friends, partners, leaders, but it also means they absorb other people's negativity, like a sponge.
While they're busy taking care of everyone else, their own emotional well-being might take a hit.
Exactly. So self-care, strong boundaries, those are non-negotiable. Finding healthy ways to recharge, de-stress, protect their sensitive hearts.
Essential stuff. So what does all this mean for our listener?
Whether you're an ENFJ yourself or you know someone who is, understanding these strengths and weaknesses, it can make a real difference.
For ENFJs, owning those amazing gifts, but also developing those skills to navigate the challenges. Harnessing that passion, idealism, while also honoring their own needs.
And if you have an ENFJ in your life, appreciate their warmth, generosity, depth, but understand their sensitivities. Support them in setting boundaries, encourage self-care, and celebrate their contributions. They really do make the world a better place.
Beautifully said. Our deep dive has been so insightful. Hopefully our listeners feel like they've gained a deeper understanding of this complex, captivating personality type.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Likewise.
And remember, whether you relate to the ENFJ type or not, there's always something to learn from understanding different personality styles.
So true. Expanding self-awareness, appreciating the diversity of human nature, and for anyone who's ready to go even deeper, I highly recommend Personality NFT. They've got resources, quizzes, all sorts of insights to help you on your personality journey.
It's a great tool.
It is.
For anyone who wants to understand themselves and others better.
Well, that wraps up our deep dives into the world of the ENFJ. We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration of personality. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep embracing what makes you, you.